Hi guys, I'm a forester here with another retirement video. Now the topic of this video is, am I pleased with meeting my career goals? So I'll describe what my career goals were and then whether I've met them or not. I'm trying to give you another view of the courtyard in back of our house. We really like Charleston courtyards, Charleston, South Carolina courtyards. And so many years ago, we took trips to Charleston just to study the courtyards before we designed our own. We don't use it like we thought we would, but anyway, that's another story. This is about retirement career goals. So I've had 3 career goals that I've kept in mind throughout my career, and I'll go over those and whether I've met them or not. One career goal was I wanted to work in multiple sectors of the forest industry, or the forestry community, you might say. So I've done that. I worked primarily, I got my start with industry, and I worked for 2 companies over about an 11-year period of time. So I started out with Weyerhaeuser in eastern North Carolina, and then I worked for about 10 years with Boise Cascade Corporation, primarily in South Carolina, but they also had land in North Carolina also. They managed somewhere around 500,000 acres of land. So I worked for forest industry. I've worked with the state South Carolina Forestry Commission for roughly 37 years, going on 37 years, and I had worked with the North Carolina Forest Service for a short while before I went to college. So I've worked both for public and private. The third sector I wanted to work for was myself. I wanted to be my own boss, and I've gotten a taste of that. So I had a tree removal service. You may have seen a viral video about me taking down a tree. I did a sloppy job of it, but there was a reason for that, and I'll go into that maybe in a later video if you're interested. I still get comments about that video. But so goal number 1 was to work in multiple sectors, and I've worked in industry, I've worked in the public sector, and now I'm going to see what I'm going to do in the private sector, working for myself. My second career goal was to focus on applied research in my career. Now, you maybe even can tell that from my videos. I'm a detail guy. I like to go into detail, and I like to discover truths. So applied research is research that you can do that will uncover truths that you can then apply in forestry on the land that you manage. So I've done that. In industry, for Boise Cascade, I was in charge of their research program, forest research program. And so we did silvicultural research, we did fertilizer research, fertilization research, herbicide research to control competition, and then genetic research to increase the growth of the crop trees. I really enjoyed that, and if Boise Cascade had stayed in the southeast with their southeast timberlands, I'd probably still be working for them right now. Even when I went to the public sector, so I went back to college, I got my doctorate in forestry, doing research on the environmental hazards of forestry operations. So does a logging job, harvesting timber, cause damage to the environment? So that was my focus, and I started a BMP program for the state of South Carolina for forestry. And that allowed me to keep my fingers in forest research, applied research, and it created a wave of BMP programs that went across the South and other states. It was an award-winning program. EPA gave us a recognition for the program, and I was actually sent on a speaking tour in other regions of the country to try to export our program into other states. So I've been able to really stay focused on applied research throughout my career, both in the private sector and public sector. The third goal that I wanted to accomplish in my career was to just simply make a difference. And I feel like I've done that. So with Boise Cascade, we managed 500,000 acres of land, North Carolina and South Carolina. And so the silvicultural research that I did was applied on the land. Now that that period only lasted for 9 or 10 years, so we never got to see the rewards of that research, but at least it was meaningful research that was applied on the land and determined how we were going to manage the land. With the state, I've started up 3 different programs primarily. So one was our environmental program, BMPs, which built on the research that I did at Clemson University. So the BMP program, I wrote the manual, the initial manual, which is still in existence, is still there, and we still follow it, although we're trying to update it. And so that has made a huge difference in how forestry is practiced from when I began my career to now. And the easy reminder of it is when I drive across the country. Notice down along the streams, you can notice it yourself, but it's a reminder to me of the difference that I've made when I see SMZs, streamside management zones, left. These are areas that vary from 40 to maybe 100 feet on each side of the stream that's left in trees to protect water quality. That's just a simple reminder, just one aspect of the program, but it's the most obvious aspect to me. So another program that we started up actually in 1998 was our forest inventory program. Goes by the acronym FIA. But our FIA program is where all the data, if you want to know anything about forestry in the United States, you go to the forest, it comes from the forest inventory program. Now, I was charged with starting up the program for South Carolina, and I did that by hiring the right individual to run the program, and he's been in charge of the program ever since. So, and he's nearing retirement age also. But that was a program I've been involved with from day one. I was having a very difficult time finding the right individual, but I never gave up, and I eventually found the perfect individual for our program. Another program that I really took the reins over is our economic development program. And so recruiting industry to the state, and I like that because it creates jobs for the citizens of our state. And that's just so important. And I don't think of it in terms of creating individual jobs, but supporting whole families, because those jobs support more than just the individual that is working there. So I didn't try to calculate the number of jobs and the number of companies that I've recruited. I would say it's been dozens since I became involved in economic development in 2003. The most recent was this week, just 2 days ago. A company from Germany, Homanet, did a groundbreaking ceremony in Clarendon County, South Carolina for an MDF plant. So they're going to utilize pulpwood and sawmill residues to make a medium density fiberboard that is the backing for a lot of the furniture. They have 85% of the market in Europe, and we hope one day maybe they'll have 85% of the market for their product here in this area in the South. So we've created a lot of jobs, and I feel like it's been very successful in recruiting industry to South Carolina. So the bottom line is, yes, I feel like I've met my career goals. There are things that were maybe expected of me, like to maybe move to the top of our agency and take over the agency director lead. It was actually offered to me at one point 25 years ago possibly, and I turned it down because I didn't feel like I wanted to spend that much time dealing with politics primarily and funding issues. I wanted to do more into the field of research. So anyway, bottom line is I feel like I've accomplished my career goals, and I hope you feel the same way when you reach this point in your career. Y'all take care.